So I just want to thank everyone for being here this evening. I'm Amy Mante. I'm Deputy Director for the Department of Planning, and I'm also the Master Plan Coordinator. I see that we have a lot of folks with us again here tonight, and we're glad that you're able to join us. We also have some representatives from the Planning Board, from the Office of Community Engagement, Environmental Protection, Office of Sustainability, Aging. I think I've captured everyone. If you've jumped on after, we'll try to catch you at the end. But before we get started, Steve Lafferty, who's the Director of the Department of Planning, is here. And I think he may have a few words before we get started.
Thank you very much, Amy. I really appreciate giving me a moment. I just want to thank everybody for participating. As you probably know, this is the 7th in a series of really external efforts to gain better insights to the goals and actions that the master plan should include. I want to compliment Amy and all of the planning department staff who've really spent a significant amount of time, in addition to their regular responsibilities, to make sure that we have captured all of the ideas and thoughts that you and others have provided us. So tonight is a really important night, obviously, because we're talking about harmony with nature and that natural environment that is so important to Baltimore County. But once again, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here to participate. We look forward to hearing from you tonight. So Amy, thank you.
Sure. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to the last of 7 input meetings that we've been holding in January and February. Tonight, we're going to give you a brief overview of the input we gathered in phase 1, and then we're going to present our draft goals for harmony with nature. After that, we will ask for your input on those goals. So as many of you know, Master Plan 2030 development is underway. Through the summer and fall of 2021, the Department of Planning conducted a series of engagement meetings that were held in different communities throughout the county. The input that was gathered will guide the vision for the county over the next 10 years. We held 15 community engagement meetings. Over the course of those meetings, we engaged with over 1,000 citizens of Baltimore County and captured about 4,000 comments related to where people see their communities and the county evolving over the next 10 years. The meetings were held across all 7 council districts and engaged over 35 various community groups. We asked broad questions about what you valued most or wanted to see changed in your communities. And we also asked where you see the county in the next 10 years. From the input we gathered, the top 3 most discussed categories were land use, economic development, and transportation. And most notably, the most engaged groups were located in the western part of the county, Catonsville, Randallstown, and Woodlawn. Also interesting to note, residents expressed the most support for walkability and pedestrian-oriented infrastructure, streetscape improvements, renovated schools, rec centers, and public facilities, green space and parks, redeveloping aging commercial corridors, senior housing and facilities, stormwater infrastructure, small businesses and local businesses, community engagement, and participatory planning. And the most concern regarding school overcrowding and inadequate facilities, traffic congestion, overdevelopment, loss of green space, climate change, lack of professional and recreational opportunities for young people, and blight in older communities. As we're moving into phase 2, where we're doing work internally, not only to review everything that we heard from the community over the past few months, but also review existing conditions and emerging trends to determine the big ideas for moving the county forward to where we want to be in 2030. At the heart of this process is the idea that local government should invest more and more thoughtfully in its people and infrastructure. Using what we heard in the summer and fall, we've developed draft goals for 6 master plan topics. The goals are grouped into 6 categories: livable built environment, resilient economy, interwoven equity, healthy communities, harmony with nature, and responsible regionalism. Each of these groups is led by a community planner with staff support from within the department. So very briefly, before we focus on harmony with nature, I want to provide an overview on all the input we gathered this summer and fall. For livable built environment, we heard a lot about trash collection and recycling, code enforcement, ADA compliance, and maintenance at public facilities. We heard about housing, a need for senior housing throughout the county, and the support for a variety of housing types. There was a strong emphasis on stormwater and sewer infrastructure, road paving, burying electrical and communication lines, as well as expanding high-speed internet across the rural areas. Concerns about traffic and congestion, as well as suggestions for improvements to specific problematic intersections and traffic corridors. And we also heard about a need to reform the comprehensive zoning map process and enforce the urban-rural demarcation line. Also concerns about the need for more transparency in the development process, including possible updates to the planned unit development process and updates to the zoning regulations. For resilient economy, we heard about commercial centers, the need to improve and diversify retail options and successfully redevelop large shopping mall properties, retrofitting retail corridors to offer a change to more auto-centric land use and development, adaptive reuse for vacant and obsolete properties, as well as grants for facade and streetscape improvement. That the county needs to be able to attract large-scale job creators in emerging industries, opportunities to support agritourism, and equine industries in the rural part of the county, workforce development that meets the need for emerging industries in the future. For interwoven equity, we heard the need to ensure fairness and equity in providing for housing, services, health, safety, and livelihood for all citizens and groups. The need to expand public venues, performance, and gathering spaces that can be leveraged as opportunities for community building and cultural diversity. Residents want to know that their communities are being maintained in a well-ordered manner, and they want to make sure that their input's taken into account. We also heard about the need for more public-private partnerships between local institutions and community groups, a more accessible internet presence by the county, such as more weekly newsletters or an interactive dashboard where residents can get more access to government news. And of course, preserving the county's heritage while spurring economic development. For healthy community, we heard a lot of input focused on the health and wellness of two specific demographics, senior citizens and young people, to ensure that communities remain walkable, accessible, and with resources that allow for aging in place and recreation opportunities. We heard a lot about public safety, specific to the communities that we spoke with. People want to see less crime and more public safety, of course, as well as improved communication with the police department. Residents also suggested a renewed focus on overall pedestrian safety, easing speeding concerns with traffic calming, and police presence in their communities, which gives the idea of greater enforcement and lower crime rates. And specific to Randallstown, there were concerns about it having some of the highest rates of sex trafficking in the state. Harmony with nature, we heard about the shoreline. Baltimore County's waterfront should be publicly accessible and safe from flooding and erosion concerns. Reforestation, tree preservation, and tree canopy management are value-added investments to improve the quality of life. A plan for impacts to infrastructure, health, and environment in response to climate change. Related to parks and recreation, there was a universal consensus among all demographics. Residents really expressing a desire for improvements to the quantity and quality of parks and recreation, and also a desire at those parks or resources to have walkability, bikeability, parks, ball fields, greenways, conservation easements, all those things in place to maintain connectivity to the natural world. And for responsible regionalism, there was recognition about the interconnectedness with nearby communities, not just within the county, but with the city, with neighboring counties and other jurisdictions that are Baltimore County's place within the region between DC and Philadelphia or New York, the successes and failures of Baltimore City and its suburbs, were also concerns, but looking for ways to work together to find solutions to things that may be problematic, or building positively on things that have worked out well. So as I mentioned earlier, tonight is the last of 7 meetings where we're asking for your input on our draft goals and for your help in developing actions to implement those goals. At this point, I'll turn the meeting over to Megan Benjamin, who is the staff lead for the Harmony with Nature group.
Thanks, Amy, and welcome again, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. My name is Megan Benjamin, and the work group we're focusing on tonight is Harmony with Nature. Our overall objective for this work group is to ensure that the contributions of natural resources to human well-being are explicitly recognized and valued, and that maintaining their health is a primary objective. Based on input from the community meetings last summer, our adopted community plans, input from other county agencies, and reviewing best practices and plans from other jurisdictions, we have developed the following draft goals. The first goal is to strengthen Baltimore County's ecologically valuable forests, wetlands, waterways, and floodplains, as well as parks and permanently protected easement lands that will contribute to the health and quality of life for residents. The second goal, increase public access to a green network by linking parks, schools, neighborhoods, business and retail areas, natural areas, open spaces, and cultural landscapes so that they are equitably accessible in all areas of the county and to residents of all abilities. The third goal, having to do with water quality, is to improve local water quality, to protect the county's natural resources, and to ensure groundwater remains a safe, reliable, and sustainable source for public consumption, and surface water is safe for public recreation. And the fourth goal, regarding climate resiliency, plan and prepare for the negative impacts of climate change to human health and well-being, public infrastructure, private property, and the environment. So we will now break into groups to discuss these goals and actions associated with the goals in greater detail. The actions will be shared with you in the breakout rooms. The goals and supporting actions are presented in no particular order. They're numbered just for easy reference. And we would like to hear from you as to whether you agree or disagree with the goals and supporting actions, and let us know if any actions need to be removed, and if so, why. And also let us know if we have missed any major actions or goals that should be covered in this topic area. So if there are, as we break into the breakout rooms, you may become disconnected by the audio, so the instructions are on the screen of how to reconnect. And with that, we will break out into the breakout rooms, and we will join back at the end.